Captain Zephyr Corvain stood on the bridge of the observation vessel Silent Dawn, her 6 eyes focused on the deep space scanner displays. For 20 years, she had monitored the dead zone at the galaxy's edge, where ancient legends claimed humans once lived. The Nexari High Command considered it a waste of resources, but Zephyr knew better than to ignore old stories. "Captain," called her sensor operator, Lieutenant Brex Talomir, his crystalline fingers dancing across the control panel. "I'm detecting massive energy signatures emerging from hyperspace. Distance, 47 parsecs and closing." "Zephyrs." Breath caught in her throat. Nothing should be out there. The sector had been empty for 300 years, ever since the mysterious disappearance of the legendary human race. Every civilization in the galaxy knew the stories. Tales of beings who could bend reality itself, who built ships that defied the laws of physics. "Show me," she commanded, her voice steady despite the growing unease in her chest. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing something that made Zephyr's blood turn cold. Ships were emerging from the void, not dozens but thousands. Each vessel was enormous, easily 3 times the size of the largest dreadnoughts in the Galactic Defense Fleet. Their hulls seemed to shift and flow like liquid mercury, and they moved through space with an impossible grace that suggested technologies far beyond anything the galaxy had seen. "By the 7 moons," whispered Navigation Officer Quinn Darkmoon, a veteran of 40 campaigns who had never shown fear before this moment. "Those designs, they match the ancient human ship schematics in the Forbidden Archives." Zephyr activated the emergency beacon, sending a priority alert to every major civilization in the local cluster. The humans, if these truly were humans, had returned, and their fleet was unlike anything described in even the most fantastical legends. "Chief." Engineer Reese Ironheart burst onto the bridge, his mechanical arm whirring as he pointed at the scanner readings. "Captain, the energy output from those ships is impossible. They're generating power equivalent to entire star systems, and their propulsion, it's not hyperspace, not quantum tunneling, it's something completely new." The lead ship in the formation was the largest, a massive vessel that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Its hull bore markings that no living being had seen for centuries, the ancient Terran symbol of a rising phoenix surrounded by stars. "They're scanning us," reported Brex, his voice barely above a whisper. "The scanning beam, it's reading our molecular structure, our thoughts, our deepest memories." "How is that possible?" Before Zephyr could respond, every screen on the bridge flickered and displayed the same message in perfect galactic standard. "Greetings, children of the stars. We are the Terran Ascendancy. We have returned to reclaim what was always ours." The transmission cut out, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Zephyr realized that everything the galaxy thought it knew about humans was about to change forever. These weren't the mythical figures from ancient stories. They were something far more terrifying and magnificent than any legend could capture. Admiral Marcus Stormwind stood at the center of the flagship Eternal Dominion's command deck, his enhanced eyes gleaming with the accumulated wisdom of 3 centuries. Around him, holographic displays showed the positions of over 10,000 Terran vessels, each one representing humanity's evolution beyond its former limitations. "Begin the announcement protocol," he commanded, his voice carrying harmonics that seemed to resonate with the fundamental frequencies of space itself. His communications officer, Captain Luna Nightbringer, activated the galaxy-wide broadcast system. "All frequencies open, Admiral. Every inhabited world within 50 light-years will receive this transmission." Marcus stepped forward to address the galaxy that had relegated his species to myth and legend. Behind him, the bridge of the Eternal Dominion showcased technology that would seem like magic to the younger races. Walls that displayed real-time images of distant galaxies, control systems that responded to thought alone, and crew members whose very presence seemed to bend light around them. "To all civilizations of the local group," Marcus began, his words transmitted instantly across vast distances through humanity's mastery of quantum entanglement communication. "I am Admiral Marcus Stormwind of the Terran Ascendancy. 300 Years ago, humanity withdrew from this galaxy not in defeat, but in preparation. On observation stations throughout known space, alien races watched in amazement and terror as the human admiral continued his address. His ship alone was larger than most space stations, and the fleet behind him stretched beyond the horizon of their most powerful telescopes. "You remember us through stories," Marcus continued, a slight smile playing at his lips. "You called us the Starforge Masters, the Reality Shapers, the Iron Phoenix. These titles were accurate, but incomplete. We have spent these centuries evolving, transcending the limitations that once bound us to a single dimension of existence." On the bridge of an Altarian battlecruiser, Commander Voss Crystalclaw watched the transmission with growing horror. "They're ships," he whispered to his tactical officer. "They're existing in 17 different dimensional phases simultaneously. Our weapons couldn't even target them." Marcus raised his hand, and around him, the very fabric of space seemed to respond to his gesture. "We return not as conquerors but as shepherds of possibility. Some of you are ready to ascend beyond your current limitations. Others are not. We respect both choices." The transmission showed glimpses of human technology that defied understanding, ships that could fold space like paper, weapons that rewrote the quantum structure of matter, and defensive systems that seemed to redirect attacks through time itself. However, Marcus's voice grew stern, carrying undertones that made hardened warriors across the galaxy shiver with instinctive fear. "We will not tolerate interference with our mission. Those who stand against the ascendancy will discover why your ancestors spoke our names in whispered terror." The broadcast ended with a display of power that left no doubt about humanity's capabilities. A small demonstration fleet targeted an uninhabited moon in a nearby system and simply erased it. Not destroyed, erased, as if it had never existed at all. Across the galaxy, military leaders and politicians realized that the balance of power had shifted irrevocably. The humans had returned, and they were no longer the species that had once struggled to reach the stars. Dr. Kai Shadowborn, the galaxy's leading xenoarchaeologist, stood in the deepest vault of the Great Library of Andromeda, surrounded by artifacts that predated most known civilizations. His discovery 3 days ago had sent shockwaves through the academic community. A sealed human data crystal containing what appeared to be their final message before disappearing from the galaxy. "Professor Meridian Starweaver," he called to his research partner, a brilliant Zenthari linguist whose forearms moved in precise patterns as she decoded ancient symbols. "Have you made any progress with the temporal encryption?" Meridian's silver eyes reflected the holographic display surrounding them. The humans didn't just encrypt this message, they locked it in a temporal stasis field. It could only be opened when specific cosmic conditions aligned. The return of their fleet was the key. The crystal began to glow, projecting a three-dimensional image of a human figure none of them recognized. A woman in simple robes whose eyes held depths that spoke of incredible knowledge and terrible burden. When she spoke, her voice carried the weight of prophecy. "I am historian Nova Dawnbreaker, keeper of humanity's true legacy. If you are viewing this message, it means our kind has returned to the galaxy, and you are seeking to understand what we have become." Dr. Kai leaned forward, his recording devices capturing every detail. This was the discovery of a lifetime, the first authentic pre-ascendancy human recording ever found. 300 years ago, Nova continued, humanity faced a choice. We could remain as we were, bound by the laws of physics that governed lesser species, or we could transcend those limitations entirely. We chose transcendence. The hologram shifted, showing images of human cities that existed in multiple dimensions, ships that drew power from the quantum foam of space itself, and beings who had learned to manipulate the fundamental forces of reality. But transcendence comes with a price. Nova's expression grew somber. To become what we needed to become, we had to leave behind everything we once were. The humans who return to this galaxy are us, but they are also more. They have become the bridge between what is and what could be. Professor Meridian's translator began showing readings that shouldn't have been possible. Dr. Kai, the quantum signature of this message, it's still connected to the human fleet. They know we're watching this. The hologram of Nova smiled, as if she could hear their conversation across the centuries. To those who will study this message, know that the Terran ascendancy offers a gift to the galaxy. Evolution, growth, the chance to become more than you ever dreamed possible. But also know that this gift comes with responsibility. The image began to fade, but Nova's final words echoed with disturbing clarity. Some of you will join us in ascendancy. Others will choose to remain as you are. And some will stand against us. To those few, we offer this warning. Remember every world that shunned us, every species that declared us dangerous, every government that tried to limit our growth. We are patient, but we are not forgiving. As the crystal went dark, Dr. Kai realized that the galaxy's understanding of the human return was about to change dramatically. They weren't just dealing with an evolved species. They were facing beings who had become something beyond normal existence, and who remembered every slight from their past. The true terror wasn't just that the humans had returned. It was that they had returned with a purpose, and 3 centuries of patience had only made them more determined to fulfill it. Fleet Commander Orion Voidhunter stood on the command deck of the Terran vessel Infinity's Edge, watching as representatives from 17 different galactic civilizations assembled in the neutral space of the Confluence Nebula. 3 weeks had passed since humanity's return, and every major power in the galaxy wanted to understand what the Ascendancy truly intended. "Sir," reported his tactical officer, Lieutenant Zara Cosmos Walker, "the delegation ships are maintaining safe distance as requested. The Kalari Empire has brought their newest dreadnought, and the Federation of Free Worlds has deployed their entire diplomatic escort fleet." Orion nodded, his enhanced consciousness simultaneously monitoring 17 different conversations happening across the gathered vessels. The aliens were afraid. Their bio-readings showed elevated stress levels, increased adrenaline production, and the telltale signs of creatures facing a predator beyond their comprehension. "Begin the demonstration," he commanded. Around the Infinity's Edge, space itself began to change. The massive Terran ship started to phase in and out of visible reality, existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously. What the gathered aliens saw defied their understanding of physics. A vessel that was somehow both there and not there, solid and ethereal, finite and infinite. On the bridge of the Kalari flagship Iron Talon, Admiral Grax Warhammer watched the display with growing unease. "Our sensors can't lock onto them," he reported to his crew. "They're existing in 17 different quantum states at once. How do you fight something that doesn't fully exist in our reality?" Commander Orion's voice reached every vessel in the gathering through methods that bypassed their communication systems entirely, speaking directly into the minds of every being present. "Honored representatives of the galaxy, you have come seeking answers. We will provide them through demonstration rather than words." The Infinity's Edge began to glow with an inner light that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Around it, smaller Terran vessels materialized from nothing, not emerging from hyperspace, but literally forming from the quantum possibilities of empty space. "Observe," Orion continued. "The power to create matter from pure energy, shaped by will and guided by understanding beyond your current evolution." One of the smaller ships targeted a large asteroid drifting near the nebula. Instead of destroying it with conventional weapons, the vessel simply changed it. The rock transformed into a perfect sphere of crystalline material that pulsed with its own inner light, then became a miniature star, then shifted into a geometric pattern that hurt to look at directly. Professor Lyra Quantum Mind, the galaxy's leading physicist aboard the Federation science vessel, began taking frantic readings. The energy patterns, they're rewriting the fundamental quantum structure of matter itself. They're not just using advanced technology, they're manipulating the basic laws of reality. The demonstration continued as Terran ships showed capabilities that reduced hardened military officers to stunned silence. vessels that could exist in the past and future simultaneously, weapons that could target the very concept of existence, and defensive systems that made attacks simply not happen. This, Orion's mental voice carried undertones of infinite patience and barely contained power, is what humanity has become. We offer evolution to those ready to transcend their limitations. We offer coexistence to those who choose to remain as they are. And we offer correction to those who would stand against the natural order of advancement. The final part of the demonstration showed the true scale of the Terran ascendancy. The gathering had seen perhaps a dozen human vessels, but now the space around them filled with thousands upon thousands of ships, each one capable of feats that made the combined fleets of the galaxy seem like children's toys. As the demonstration ended and the impossible fleet faded back into whatever dimensions they inhabited, every representative present understood the same terrible truth. The galaxy had been forever changed, and there was no force in known space that could challenge humanity's return. The age of human legends was over. The age of human reality had begun. Part 5. The Choice of Worlds. Captain Phoenix Starborn stood in the observation lounge of the massive Terran vessel New Dawn Rising, watching as delegations from across the galaxy made their decisions. 6 months had passed since the demonstration, and now every civilization faced the same choice that had once confronted humanity itself: evolve or remain unchanged. Through the transparent aluminum windows, she could see the breathtaking sight of the Ascendancy's diplomatic fleet, ships that existed as living art, their hulls shifting through colors that had no names, powered by forces that made stars seem dim by comparison. "The first group is ready to make their choice," announced her aide, Commander River Moonlight, a human who had been born during the centuries of wandering and whose very cells had been enhanced beyond original human limitations. Phoenix turned to face the central holographic display, which showed representatives from 12 different species standing in the ship's main conference chamber, each being represented millions of their kind, and their decisions would shape the future of the galaxy. The first to speak was Ambassador Flux Crystalheart of the Nexari Collective, her crystalline form refracting the chamber's light into spectacular patterns. "The Nexari have chosen to accept the Ascendancy's offer of guided evolution. We understand that our current existence is limited, and we wish to transcend those boundaries." Phoenix nodded respectfully. "The path of ascension is difficult, but rewarding. Your species will be assigned Terran guides who will help you unlock your potential over the next century. You will become something greater than you are while remaining true to your essential nature." Next came General Thok's Iron Shield of the warrior clans of Rigel, his massive form encased in power armor that looked primitive compared to human technology. "The clans choose to remain as we are. We have honor in our limitations and find strength in our struggles. We ask only for the right to continue our existence without interference." "Granted," Phoenix replied without hesitation. "The Ascendancy respects the choice to remain unchanged. Your species will be protected and allowed to develop naturally. We ask only that you do not interfere with those who choose evolution." The UA. Most tense moment came when Supreme Leader Vex Shadowmaw of the Dominion of Fear stepped forward. His species had built an empire on conquest and the subjugation of weaker races. "The Dominion rejects both options. We will not bow to evolved humans, nor will we accept limitation. We choose resistance." The chamber fell silent. Every being present understood that this moment would define the galaxy's future. Phoenix's expression remained calm, but those with enhanced senses could feel the power radiating from her, not threatening but absolute. "The choice of resistance is also valid," she said quietly. "However, it comes with consequences. Your dominion will be contained. Your aggressive expansion will end. Your subject species will be offered the choice of freedom. You may continue to exist within your current boundaries, but you will no longer be permitted to threaten others." Vex's 4 eyes blazed with fury. "You cannot simply—" His words cut off as he found himself unable to speak. Around him, the reality of the chamber began to shift subtly, showing him glimpses of what Terran power could accomplish. entire fleets reduced to component atoms, planets relocated to different dimensions, the very concept of his empire's existence becoming optional. "We can," Phoenix said simply. "And we will. The Ascendancy's patience is vast but not infinite. Choose your path wisely." Over the following hours, species after species made their choices. The artisan guilds chose evolution, eager to discover new forms of creative expression. The Merchant Federation chose coexistence, recognizing the economic benefits of peaceful trade with an ascended species. The hermit worlds chose isolation, and were granted sanctuary dimensions where they could exist undisturbed. By the end of the gathering, the galaxy had been peacefully reorganized according to humanity's vision. Those who chose evolution would be guided to transcendence. Those who chose limitation would be protected. Those who chose resistance would be contained. As the various delegations departed in their primitive vessels, Phoenix watched from her dimensional viewing platform, seeing not just the present moment but the branching possibilities of the future. The galaxy was entering a new age, an age where humanity's children would grow beyond the boundaries of normal existence, where peace would be maintained through overwhelming power, and where the legends of the past would become the foundation of an unimaginable future. The Terran ascendancy had returned, and the galaxy would never be the same. The age of human dominance had not begun with conquest or destruction, but with the simple, terrifying offer of choice, and the absolute certainty that resistance was futile. In the depths of space, the impossible human fleet continued its eternal patrol, guardians of a new order that stretched across dimensions and defied the very concept of limitation. They had kept their promise to return, and now they would shape the galaxy according to their transcendent vision of what existence could become.